I'm trying to hold this together. I'm trying to hold this together because no amount of spinning, Courtney, no amount of what they're trying to do will win. Claudette went to the hospital this morning to get the release form for the body. When she spoke to the CMO, chief medical officer, or chief senior doctor, or chief senior officer, at first they said they weren't going to do, Courtney, an autopsy. Then they came back and they said, yes, seeing that it's a maternity death, an autopsy would have been done. They call Claudette and say they're going to see if they can get it done for this Thursday, Courtney. All of a sudden, this evening, the doctor called her, Courtney, to say, Tyane, it has been confirmed that Tyane had COVID. You hear what I'm saying now, Jamaica? So them start waiting on Courtney. Them start already to cook up the story. So with that, Jamaica, they are saying that the policy of the government and the hospital is that once somebody has been confirmed to have COVID, no autopsy is done. You hear that, Courtney? So all of a sudden, no autopsy can be done on their end. Their end, Jamaica. So, me I wonder, me touch Tyane the whole time. You see me have any sign?
No, come out, you know.
No, it's not a matter of come out. It's a serious thing. Me touch Tyane the whole time. Me there on time for the 3-4 hours. Our mother did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The mother have no sign. Courtney. Abby did Abby no have no sign of COVID. Coupled with that, Courtney, if a COVID she have, that means that the whole of the maternity ward for the isolation. That means that the whole of ward 4 for the isolation. Yeah. No, so it got Jamaica. Because if them are going to say Tyane had COVID, Courtney, me count about 20 mother from the same ward with Tyane. How then me not hear say the ward no have no isolation? That means that the baby them too in a isolation, Courtney.
And them exposed.
The baby them exposed and the mother's exposed. So me want to ask them, where the COVID come from, Courtney? Me ever ask them again, Jamaica. Me want to ask Dr. McDonald tonight. Good night, Dr. McDonald. My name is Andre Stefano Stevens. You're going live fist in my face. Dr. McDonald, I need to know the names of every doctor who worked on Tyane in the surgery from beginning to end. Dr. McDonald. The docket, Dr. McDonald, the docket. The docket, Dr. McDonald. Confidential, yes, Dr. McDonald. But I can tell you, Dr. McDonald, Tyane death not going to go like this, Dr. McDonald. You hear what I'm saying to you? Every documentation we want. Dr. McDonald, is either you cooperate with me or I'm going to be a living termite to you. Courtney, I not think them understand what I'm saying. No? Is either them cooperate with the family or I, Andre Stefano Stevens, going to be a termite. Dr. McDonald, should I go even further tonight, Jamaica? Should I go even further tonight? Dr. McDonald, was Tyane on the antibiotics that you all told us? Courtney, my mouth a boil, you know. I think I need to call Dr. Hunter. You don't think I should call Dr. Hunter? I think I should call. I want to get a doctor who knows the system. Let me see if I can find Dr. Hunter for a second. I think I need to call Dr. Hunter, Courtney. I think I need to call Dr. Hunter tonight.
Hello, Andre.
Dr. Hunter, are you free?
I am very free to set the people of Jamaica free. Yes, sir. What a beautiful soul you had beside you. Have Almighty God. It reminds me of.
I want to ask you tonight, Dr. Hunter, based on what is presented. Tyane had a C-section in January. Tyane had a C-section in January. And now is June. The thing has not been healed. What could have caused her cut not to have been healed?
All right. Okay. After I ask this question, I'll tell you about somebody else. But I'll answer you this.
Mm-hmm. What are you saying, Dr. Hunter?
There is no way that a cesarean section should not heal.
Mm-hmm.
Should not heal by a week.
By a week.
My wife had 3 cesarean sections.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Okay, Doc. So let us get into
There is no way
mm-hmm.
that somebody who had a cesarean section in January should not have healed by a week.
A week. Even when the person is diabetic, in her case, she was a diabetic.
Even when the diabetic, because a lot of people say, oh, diabetes, diabetes. The fact is, you have gestational diabetes, you control it.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's controlled, the wound will heal. Now, cesarean sections can be planned or they can be emergency.
Yes.
If it's an emergency, you start getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because every study showed that emergency surgeries have worse outcomes than planned, prepared for surgeries.
But in her case, it wasn't an emergency surgery, it was a planned surgery.
Which makes it even worse. It makes it even worse. Because the cesarean section, right? As the womb comes out of the pelvis and pushes away the bowel, it's a decent sized wound. And they tend to do a lower incision on the uterus. Now, there are many things that could cause her not to heal.
Like?
They could have left a swab in her. They could left the tip of a yonkers in her, as I recall a neurosurgeon did at KPH. The yonkers is a metal that's left inside that fits over the suction and accidentally became loose and was left in the patient.
Wow.
They could have a situation, and I have seen it, where the sets that were supposed to be sterilized, they come back marked sterilized, and they're not sterilized.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've seen that.
The instrument's not sterilized?
And as a no. Or if they were sterilized, they became contaminated between sterilization and usage.
Mighty God.
Everybody knows that Roger Hunter is anal when it comes on to sterility. Thanks to Semmelweis. Semmelweis, and a member of the medical council, went to Semmelweis University. They called Semmelweis, the Hungarian, a madman. And Semmelweis was telling them that the doctors and nurses were killing the patient because they found in the blood something. But unfortunately, he never had a microscope to see what was in the blood. And then his wife committed him to an institution. Louis Pasteur then discovered the microscope and saw the bacteria that was in the people's blood, killing them off. And Joseph Lister from Edinburgh discovered that carbolic acid, which is still used today, can kill those bacteria.
Wow.
And they moved the death from surgery from like 90% death to 10% death.
Wow.
So something definitely came wrong. What could also go wrong? Sometimes they cut the baby accidentally in taking the baby out, but that would not have caused her not to heal. Sometimes they cut the bowel. If they cut the bowel, then what you find is that Enterococcus faecalis and Proteus mirabilis and terrible organisms will enter the abdomen and will go into that wound and will cause a terrible endometritis, which is a horrible infection of the lining of the womb.
Endometritis.
And the endometritis, an inflammation of the lining of the womb, typically caused by an infection. So if they interfered with the integrity of the bowel, say they stitched the bowel accidentally, then this is one explanation why these bowel bacteria can be found in her.
Wow.
Another explanation,
Yes.
leaving a foreign body there.
Mm-hmm.
She stay in hospital too long. Move her, go home. And as I've been telling the opposition, form a domiciliary service. Because if she stays there, she's going to pick up the germs in the hospital.
So you're arguing that it would be best she should have been treated at home.
And the doctor go twice a day and visit her twice a day. Antibiotic. Listen, my neighbor had a white cell count of 30, which is very high, and an inflammatory marker of over 100.
Mm-hmm.
He actually went to this. Well, we have to put a question mark over ivermectin because he has no bona fides.
All right, we now go.
And was very unimpressed with him.
We now go.
But sticking to the core.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to the core. I went straight across on Boxing Day, set up the line, 4 antibiotics I hit him with.
Yes.
Because this is feces, just like how the gut has feces,
mm-hmm.
but the feces entered through his legs.
Wow.
Into his bloodstream. Blood poisoned him, but we were ready because we had fluids and we had antibiotics.
Wow.
He was completely out of it for a day. The
Mm-hmm.
next day he came back. And this man is going 3 years, if not 4 years now.
So you're arguing
disease.
that in Tyane's situation where they're saying that the uterus became sepsis, in that case, what would you have done had you been treating her, Dr. Hunter?
Well, it's standard. If there's sepsis inside the uterus, I would ask, why is there sepsis?
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, did they leave a swab inside her? So immediately I would have done an x-ray to see, because the swabs are supposed to be radiolucent,
mm-hmm.
and you can see them. And if there's a metal is left, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
If the bowel is compromised, you can see signs of the bowel compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get an idea if there's a foreign body left in her,
you would have gone.
I'm taking her back to surgery
immediately
as soon as she is resuscitated. I was shocked out of my wits.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked out of my wits to hear that this lady had a peripheral line. The peripheral line is a source of infection too. They swell up and then not change them in time. The last 2 days, 3 days, what she needed was a central venous line.
A central what?
A CVP line. A central venous line that goes into the big vein called the superior vena cava.
She wasn't getting that.
That is a massive error. An error that cannot be defended.
The CVP line.
On no planet, nowhere in the world can that be defended.
They're saying that
she should have an infusion pump to know exactly how much fluids they're giving her and what rate. And with the CVP line, it's when you swell up, Andre,
mm-hmm.
and you say giving antibiotics,
mm-hmm.
you don't know if the antibiotics are going into her tissues of her hand
mm-hmm.
or going into the veins. They need the antibiotics in her veins. So if the hand is swollen, you're not sure that the antibiotics are going inside her veins.
So what would have been the option if it's not
CVP line?
And the CVP
subclavian or jugular venous line.
Where would
Simple.
Where would that go?
Seconds. Under the clavicle in the subclavian line and in the CVP line, it would go inside the patient's
So that is
jugular vein in the neck.
what would go into your neck. Am I correct?
That is correct. So
from
me,
my understanding,
okay, last year I ruptured my appendix. I stayed 11 days at home. This general surgeon ordered me to go to Andrews. There is no way in hell I'll go to that demon hospital.
So in her,
all these hospitals that are controlled by the church, I don't know, but the demon is inside them.
So, Doc, when we went there, that closer to her neck is pure blood coming out. Blood all over the sheet, blood up.
Mighty God. Okay, so when sepsis goes and goes and goes unchecked, you develop something called a consumptive coagulopathy, a consumption of platelets, where you're not only getting bleeding, thinning of the blood, which is what you're seeing on the sheets, but at the same time, you're also getting blood clots. It's called DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation. If you do not get a hold of sepsis in time, when my appendix ruptured by day 2, I had an IV fluid. For 18 days and 18 nights, I did not eat.
Wow.
I would never go to the hospital. Okay, the United States warned their citizens to go. So I ain't going to go. And if you recognize that it's a foreign body, or you recognize that this is an infection in the lining of the uterus, you have to get central antibiotics, central vein, where you are 100% sure that those antibiotics are going into the vein to take it to the uterus to get rid of the bacteria. But what, for instance, Andre, what if they accidentally cut the bowel and it's unrecognized?
How would that be unrecognizable?
Then because you're closing and you don't realize it. So it's like this whole push on colonoscopies, and we know that colonoscopies, they don't save any significant amount of lives compared to not people like me who do not do colonoscopies. Colonoscopies, they push that thing through your anus into the thing. It can sometimes perforate your bowel. It's completely missed, and the same result. You have sepsis, overwhelming sepsis. You need a central line, you need an infusion pump, and you need precise antibiotics given every time. Don't miss none. You don't give excess fluids, you give the right amount of fluids. If she needs blood, you give her blood.
She was
and
dehydrated.
you treat that central line like holy.
That central line was not being treated. That central line that you're talking about, Doc, was not being treated. The antibiotics, she was not getting them in full, and she was not getting them properly. So
she had a central line?
I don't know if she had the central line, Doc, because
subclavian central line or jugular. Because from what that lady described to me, she had peripheral lines. When I went to another country,